Say that we're pressing, but obviously you're trying to play complementary football when your defense is struggling to stop a group. You want to do your part and score touchdowns and come back, and we weren't able to score touchdowns. I mean, we were able to move the ball up and down the field, but we couldn't score touchdowns. So I can't say that we were pressing necessarily. Going from last week to this week, as I said, there are some things that we wanted to get better at. We got better at third down this week, but now it's the red zone that I think we scored some touchdowns. It makes the defense feel a little bit better, and it's a whole different feel within the game for both sides of the ball.
Went for the CD early in the first half. It looked like he was open in his. I don't know if was that a misconnection? Or
yeah, just miscommunication. A play that. Just completely miscommunication. Nothing more than that. We'll get it fixed. We'll get it cleaned up and make that.
Dak, Todd Archer, ESPN. Can you talk about the week-to-week nature of this league? Last week you guys were riding a high in Cleveland, and then to have today. Is this just the way the league goes?
Yeah, I mean, it's the NFL. I talk about each and every week. No games are played on paper. As far as riding a high, I know I wasn't personally. I don't think the guys in the locker room necessarily were. I mean, I talked about how much meat we left on the bone offensively, and that's simply why you can't listen to other people's opinions and read what you guys write respectfully. I mean, yeah, y'all may have put this team on a high more than we should have been, and now we just simply have got to reset. We've got to respond. We're not going undefeated. I mean, hadn't been done in 50 years. Woo, surprise. So it's about getting back to it and finding a way to respond to put the best team on the field next week.
You can catch all of Dak Prescott's postgame press conference on DallasCowboys.com. Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. Isaiah, pregame you said Dallas, in order to keep pace with New Orleans, needed to score on 70% of their drives. They didn't end up doing that, but early they scored on 5 of their first 6, except 4 of those 5 scores were field goals. I mean, how do you finish drives if you're the Cowboys offense?
You have to figure it out. I mean, you mentioned it here. They only scored on 50% of those drives. Obviously, my number was 70. And 70% just allowed them to be able to be competitive against an outfit that was going to put up points. Now, do you expect that outfit to put out 40 points on your defense? Absolutely not. But in order to give your defense a fighting chance and to give them a little vote of confidence, they need to see that you're scoring points too, because this is a relationship. Offense and defense is a give and take, right? As you come off the field, I give you a high five, I go do my job. But if I'm coming off the field from doing my job and I have no confidence that you're going to go out there and give us a chance by giving us a buffer, by scoring some points, scoring touchdowns, then all of a sudden this relationship just isn't necessarily working for me. So you have a 3-party relationship and only one party doing their job. That unit today was the special teams.
Once they got up by 14, that's the mentality of most teams. I'm going to give you 3. I'll score 3, and we'll just stay at 14. So once they got up by 14 points, we kept sitting in this room saying they need a touchdown. They went up by 21. They need a touchdown. You cannot score 3 against a team of that nature, especially as creative as they was in moving around our defense.
Yeah, just looking at the drive chart for Dallas, field goal, touchdown, interception, and then field goal, and that was to start the going into the start of the second half. Then it was turnover on downs, interception, turnover on downs, punt. So you weren't able to finish drives early, and then you weren't able to even get down the field late, and that's going to be a recipe for disaster no matter what the opposing team is going to do on their offensive end, especially when their drives are touchdown, and then finally an interception in the second half. When we come back, let's hear from Cowboys owner Jerry Jones after the loss. What went wrong in the 44-19 downing by the New Orleans Saints? Let's hear from Jerry out at AT&T Stadium.
The thing that got my attention the most, they did it seemingly walled off our linebackers and were able to not get the inside pursuit. And with that, I'd say that in a nutshell. But that's not really what this is about. What this is about is this is early. The big lesson here is you can get to thinking you've got it figured out way too early in the game. We're 1-1, and we've got to learn. And this group right here has got to learn from what they experienced out there today.
With the talent you have on defense, are you surprised that they weren't able to get after Derek Carr more than they did?
Well, I think that he was throwing the ball quick, but he had the benefit of against us today of a heck of a running game. When you can run the ball like he was running the ball, then you can, especially if you're releasing that ball quick, you can have an effective passing game. So the whole thing was working good, and it wasn't just for a quarter. It worked that way out there for several quarters. So extraordinarily disappointing for our fans. We will correct this. We will improve from where we played out there today.
Jerry, the defense, in particular, the run defense has been a problem for recent years. Why are you not concerned about it at this point?
Well, I didn't say I wasn't concerned about the defense at all. We're all want to play better on defense than we played out there today. But we've got some players out there that can make a better account than you saw out there today. So we've got a lot of work to do.
After last week's performance, just how baffling is this kind of performance, though, when you guys dominate against Cleveland and then come out and play like you did today?
Well, it's easy for me to say, this is the NFL. Everybody's got outstanding players. They certainly put this offense in this year, I think, down there. This is new for them, and they executed it well against us, and we didn't respond. We've got to do that, and we've got a long way to go here for the season, but more importantly, we're trying to put a team together that can be there when we're back out here after Christmas.
So Jerry Jones talking about it a little bit there, saying that the Saints have made some adjustments in order to make their players successful. A lot of those guys from New Orleans were playing in New Orleans last year, but now you turn things around with a different coordinator. They have a little more success. Is it the other way around for the Cowboys right now? Does it turn into roster acquisition, trying to find some firepower maybe in the run game, trying to add some more depth defensively? Where do you start with trying to bolster this roster as we move forward?
Well, there's two areas on each side of the ball that, I would look at and say, man, you might need to improve a little bit in that. And that's, one, the running back room. You're talking about offensively. There's just not a lot of juice out there. Nate talked about it earlier in the last segment. When you have those one-on-one opportunities in the open field, you got to make at least one guy miss. You got to be able to get those yardage when you have that opportunity. And defensively, I got to look at that interior defensive line. I mean, I know you brought some veterans in here, some older veterans to help with that interior defensive line, but they haven't really been able to get the job done. I mean, last week you saw what happened in Cleveland. They were able to stuff that running attack, but out here giving up 190 yards to the Saints, I just think there's something that they need to fix in there when you talk about the interior defensive line and the running back room. You got to get more explosive.
Yeah, the explosive is the word for me. I just think that offensively, you have to have somebody that's just as great of a threat, or at least somewhat closer to a threat than CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb can't be your only guy, because right now, today, with Ferguson missing, that's what it felt like. It felt like either CeeDee Lamb's going to make the play, or hopefully we can just move the chains. And that's not a game plan that you can necessarily have, especially in this NFC. There's just too much firepower, too many guys. That's one of the reasons why the defense struggled with the Saints today. It's because you didn't know where the next play was going to come from. You didn't know if it was going to be Alvin Kamara. You didn't know if it was going to be Rashid Shaheed. You didn't know if it was going to be Chris Olave. You have weapons that you have to worry about. And as much of a weapon as Brandon Cooks is for this team, could be, he hasn't been utilized like that since he's touched ground here in Dallas as of last year. So they have to find a way to get him involved. They have to find a way to get Deuce Vaughn out into space and not just running behind the tackles, but they have to find some explosion and something that's going to be a threat to defenses.
And I think that's kind of the number one thing. Take something and learn from it, because whenever you've got a Saints offense that's so balanced that it's scary, then you've got a Cowboys team. Teams know Dallas is struggling to run the football, so they're going to sell out to stop the pass. They're going to sell out to try and cover CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Dak Prescott, and his passing caliber. No matter how good of a game he has, they're still going to try and take away the pass, and it's going to challenge this passing game. But lots to talk about on the offensive side of the football. But when we come back, we flip to the defense. The linebackers were the stars of Week 1 in the win over Cleveland. Not so much against New Orleans in Week 2.